Celeb Savant is a career retrospective type interview focusing on singers, actors, and industry experts. Join Barrett Edelstein now as he dives into the entertainment world.
Con the Artist is a South African-born Canadian-based singer, songwriter, and producer. His latest releases, namely Hand Me Down and Only You, sparked organic discovery across social platforms, generating over 2.6 million views and bringing thousands of new listeners to his music, pushing his streaming audience past 130,000 monthly listeners. As his audience has grown, so has his presence on stage, sharing bills with artists including Gabriella B., Jan, Elijah Woods, Down with Webster, and Sean Desmond, further introducing his project to new fans. Beyond his own releases, Con the Artist has built a parallel career as a composer and producer, with scoring and placements across major networks and platforms, including Netflix, Apple TV, Disney+, ABC Family, Lifetime, and HBO Canada. Moving between screen composition and pop songwriting, he approaches each track with the storyteller's attention to pacing, payoff, and emotional detail. Up next on Celeb Savant, we've got Con the Artist. Where in the world are you and how are you doing?
I am in Toronto at the moment, and I'm doing well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm all good, all good. So now, why, how, where, and what did the stage name Con the Artist come from?
So my birth name is Conan or similar to you, where there's many different versions of the name that people call me. And I'm an artist, so I just thought it was a cheeky, clever name to call myself Con the Artist, because my nickname's Con, an artist, triple because there's also the term con artist. So I just thought it was too clever to not make a project from. Like, I was gonna do music anyways, but it's also part of the reason I wanted to start my solo career is just to be a cheeky name.
Okay, so now let's rewind. At what age, whether as a child or teenager, did you say, okay, cool, I want to be in this world of creativity? And how did that journey progress?
Yeah, I think it was less of a cognitive decision about wanting to be in that world. It was more just like, I watched that movie School of Rock, and literally as soon as I finished the movie, I signed up for drum lessons and started drum lessons the next day. Something about that movie as a young child, I think I was probably 10 or 11 or so, it spoke to me and it just excited me so much. So started that journey of playing drums. I went to lessons for about a month. And then from then on, grew into teaching myself guitar and then piano, and then started singing as well. I just kind of started to just try all the different instruments just to kind of see what I liked, and turned out I liked all of them.
So do you still play all of them?
I do still play all of them. Yeah. So I have a drum kit here in my space, and piano in front of me, guitars around everywhere, bass as well. I've yet to learn cello, which I think would be a really fun instrument to learn. That seems like the really hard one to do, but all the band instruments I play.
You understood and taught yourself all the instruments. How did that then lead to becoming professional? What were the next steps?
Well, I think it was one of those things where I started a band. Well, I was playing in bands in high school with my cousins and some friends, and it was just all casual fun stuff. And after high school, I started a band that was also supposed to be just like a summer jam kind of thing. And then we landed up playing a show went really well. We kept selling out every time we did play a show. So it kind of escalated, and we were like, maybe this is something that we could do. And so then eventually, after a few years, we moved to the UK and actually made music there and toured around in the UK playing a lot. But it was in the UK when I was working a bar job, and I basically came home to Canada to be here for Christmas. And I wanted to stay a few more weeks. And I said to my bar job, I'm going to be 2 more weeks and spend time with family. And they said that if you don't come back, you basically don't have a job. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm losing our bar job then. So when I went back to London, instead of finding a new bar job, we had the studio space that we're rehearsing out of that we only use in the evenings. So then I was why don't I try use the space to make money off of it? And I started producing other people in there because I was already producing for my band. And then that just enabled me to keep playing more instruments, to try out new things and work on my production skills, which led to me being able to produce Con the Artist fully.
How long ago did you leave the band and become solo? What were those steps?
It was for most people, I think it was in it was in COVID times. So it was basically, it wasn't like we're all still great friends, talk to each other all the time. Just one of those things where we couldn't play shows. And so other band members started to find jobs that paid because we weren't able to play gigs or anything like that. And it just kind of fizzled out from there when everyone just got serious and started getting married and having kids and stuff like that. And I didn't. And the music is in me. And so I couldn't stop. So when the band kind of came to a halt and slowed down, I started becoming an artist.
What's the difference for you and your experience between being in a band, producing and collaborating in a band, compared to producing and being a solo artist?
I think there's definitely pros and cons for both. The pros of it is like I love having someone in the room to bounce ideas off of, and someone that also knows you so well. Like in a band, we became like brothers. So like you could have that very quick discourse, talk about something musical and kind of like get to the root of it. Where sometimes if I'm left to my own devices in my studio, I'll be stuck in the same part for hours, not because it's difficult, just because I have decision paralysis because there's a lot of things that I like. And sometimes when someone is like, oh yeah, that's the better option, it's easy to just like shut that off and go with it. But then the plus side is like, obviously you don't have to rely on other people's schedules, and you kind of can just do what you want. And sometimes if you do have a strong musical opinion on something, you can just roll with it versus making sure everybody's kind of okay with it.
Are you still producing and writing for other artists?
I am. Yes, I do that as well.
So when you're actually going to sit down and write a song, do you know, okay, this is going to be for me or this is going to be for another artist, or does it organically flow from a step-by-step process?
I think it's usually because if I'm sitting down with someone, it's the intention. We always go into a session with an intention. And so for writing for the other person, we kind of know what we're doing. We put our heads in that kind of space. And if I'm sitting down by myself, I don't think I've ever written a song that I'm like, oh, this would be good for someone else, because music's so personal to me that if I'm sitting down to write, it's something that I want to say. And so I'll probably end up being the one singing it and saying it. But there has been one case, I have a song called Peach, where I sat down in this session with another artist and we were writing a song for them. And the song became very cheeky and very fun because it was just like the energy in the room was taken that way. And by the end of it, they're like, this is awesome, but this is like just not like, I can't picture myself singing this. And I was like, well, I love the song. Like I could picture myself singing it. So then like I released the song, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it changes every time.
So how do you create a song when you're writing for yourself?
I think it's always different. I have a little notes app on my phone. Basically, every time I have an idea or thought for just like a line that I like, a concept that I think is cool, I'll just jot that down. And I'll either, if I'm sitting down to write something, I might look through it and be like, oh, this is a topic that I really resonated with and I want to speak about that more. Sometimes it's just something that you hear in your head. I like recently just finished a song this weekend that'll come out in April, and it was just one line that was stuck in my head. And I was like, this could be a chorus. And so you just kind of have that as the concept. You sit down, you find the chords that flesh around it, and then do the rest of the song. So, and then sometimes I'm literally just, I sit down and I play with sounds, no intention. And then a sound or a riff or something inspires me. And I'm like, oh, this has to become a thing.
I know it's all very secretive in your guys' world. So what can you tell us is coming up? Tell us about your latest releases and the things you mentioned that are coming up that you are allowed to tell us.
I have my second EP coming out called Rest of Your Life. And it's got 5 tracks on it. And the last song on the EP is called Rest of Your Life. And I think it is my favorite song that I've ever written. Got a beautiful string section in it, which is a first for me. And so I'm really excited to have that side out into the world as well. Playing Departure Festival, that's coming up in May and here in Toronto. And then there's a few other things in the works that I am not allowed to talk about. But as the summer and the years go, there'll be more to say.
Okay, so you referenced was the first time you had strings in a song. What was the inspiration to say, okay, I want to do it now compared to doing it before?
So I've always loved music, and like especially alternative and rock music that does have strings in it. Like it feels very 90s coded. But it was one of those things where I didn't have the resources or the know-how. And the last few years I've been doing film composing as well. And so I'm really learned how to read and write music and strengthen myself in terms of becoming a composer and not just a producer, songwriter. And so when the song was written, it felt like it was the song that needed to have a string section. And so then I had the know-how onto how to write the notes out, how to kind of structure it and arrange it, and then take it to some really awesome musicians and then kind of work with them to bring it to life. Most of my songs are about like 2-3 minutes because I have to keep it tight and short, but this one's around 5 minutes because it's about taking things slow and not rushing things through. And I feel like that's a lot of also like orchestration music where it's just you're in the feels and you go with it and it's not rushed. So just felt right.
What's the difference between writing music or being a film composer to writing songs in general terms? And was it challenging to translate your writing of music into film composition?
It's exciting. It's not so much challenging. It's more exciting to say that I now have the side of me that can kind of come to light a little bit in Con the Artist, where, I love pop, rock, and alternative music, but I also love listening to scores from films. And it's something that not everyone always talks about in the daily, or something that you get to share too much. So it's nice to kind of allow that to kind of seep into the music now. The difference with the two of them is when it comes to film music, I am serving someone else's project. And so it's kind of liberating in the sense of like, of course, it's still me putting myself into it, but I am not really attached to it completely because it's something that's supposed to support another art form where it has a job to serve. But with Con the Artist, it's one of those things where anything goes. And with that, sometimes it's kind of a little bit daunting when you don't have a lot of parameters on you. You can kind of do anything. So there's like the decision paralysis in a way. So I feel like that's the difference. And yeah, with Con the Artist, I'm just a lot more precious because it's my voice. You know what I mean?
So you referenced the decision paralysis. Has that eased over time, or do you still struggle a lot with it?
I am actively working on it because I love to take my time and I love to mull on things. Like I had a song that just recently came out called Hand Me Down, and that started in the summer of 2024. And I wasn't rushing to finish it. I was just taking my time with it, dabbing at lyrics when I could. But now I'm trying to be less precious about things. So like the most recent one I just finished that I'm sending stems off for today, I basically sat down, didn't overthink it, and I just produced the entire song in one night. Then took about a week to think about lyrics and everything because I still am taking my time and I had the decision paralysis, but it's not as much as a year. And then tracked the vocals 2 days ago, and now it's finished. And I think that's the quickest turnaround for a Con the Artist song I've ever had, where I've definitely produced other people, like it gets done at the end of the day because it's so personal. And before I put it out, I want to make sure that it's exactly what I want to say.
In what ways are you working on it? By letting go, by releasing the perfectionism? What other ways is your toolbox of working on this decision paralysis so it may help a listener who's sitting with it in a different iteration in their life?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is doing and not thinking. So, for example, I might build up the anticipation of like, for example, recording the acoustic guitar, or recording anything, but I might think about how I want to do it, and then I'll do it on a day that it's like, this is the day for acoustic guitar. And you kind of give yourself excuses onto like why you do things at certain times. But instead with this one, I was just like, I have an idea. I haven't changed my strings. It's not perfect, but let me just record it with the microphone, just the idea. And as I was recording, I was like, I should just record it. Like, this is it. You know what I mean? And so it's like, it's not perfect, but I also love that about it. Like, you can hear the strings buzzing at the same time, but it's something that I have grown to like really like in the song. And so it's just more about like not postponing by thinking about how you can do things better or do things right, but actually just do them and accept them for what they are. Like no one else is really going to notice. Like it's just you that's standing in your own way.
Yes. And I've also heard from a lot of artists lately with the invent of AI that however it's going to be created and who's ever going to be creating is going to be so perfect and filtered and like polished that people are going to look for the imperfections in real human artists. And that will be the differentiator between humans and non whatever we want to.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. You're totally right. And we were once in a period where all the music had to be perfect and everything was recorded at studios and it had to be like top quality. But now basically like the DIY version of it is the thing that people resonate with most because now we're in this world where we don't know what's true.
I love me a CD. I still budget for my CDs every month. For me, it's an energy exchange to you guys to say thank you for the hard work. I love the journey of the choice, the unpacking, the booklet, listening to song from one to whatever number. I am unsure if you are or not aware, massive uptick of physical around the world. I'm not sure really in Canada, but definitely in the US, UK, Europe, Australia. A couple of years ago in the UK, 5.9 million vinyls sold, the biggest since 1990. Last year in the UK, there's also a basket of products that they gauge exchanges on. And based on these exchanges, they monitor it for tax purposes. There needs to be a high number of exchanges daily for a product to be in the basket. And because of the upsurge of CDs, CDs are again now back in the basket being monitored. And the research is showing that it's the teenagers, it's the younger kids diving into this world, not the older nostalgic people in inverted commas. Then we have Spotify, the DSPs, and all these various digital consumer platforms that people are listening to music on. What are your observations of the landscape at the moment?
In regards to vinyl, I think it's a cool thing. I'm looking at my collection of vinyl here, and I love that it's one of those things where, yeah, it became a fad where everyone got back into vinyls again, but it's also like there is the difference in the like the warm quality to the music when you're listening to like a crackly speaker, and like it feels authentic in the fact that you can't just press skip. You know what I mean? It's a lot more effort, so you kind of listen to the whole way through, and it's the art of flipping the record. So I love that, and I love that's coming back. CDs, I don't mind this coming back at all as well. I think that's really cool. I think for me, I wouldn't pay too much into that because it's still digital. Where it's like with vinyl, you're getting a audio quality difference. You know what I mean? Whereas CD, it feels like you're getting the same thing. You know, it's digital, so it's coming through the speakers the same way you'd hear it on Spotify. But I'm not opposed to it at all. I love the idea that people are collecting CDs again. And I mean, I grew up with CDs all the time, so I miss the days when you could like put a CD in the car and you were listening to the whole CD. And I actually miss the days that you made mixtapes for friends. I used to do that all the time on CDs. And so if another generation is doing that now, I think that's amazing.
So I'm up for a debate around this. I've got my CDs. I was living overseas and I came back to South Africa about a few years ago, and I wanted to get a sound system for my CDs. And everyone said, oh, you can't get them, you can't get them. But I went on to Take-A-Lot, which is similar to Amazon here in South Africa. And there were 50 to 60 to 80 different options for me to choose and choose and choose. I teach spinning classes. So I've got my playlist for my spinning classes. So I'll listen to that on the same system, the same song on Spotify, compared to the same song on the CD. And the CD sound is 100 times, trillion times better than the sound quality on Spotify. It feels like that warm hug, maybe a little bit more of a digital warm hug than the vinyl, but there's definitely a difference in sound quality on CD compared to DSPs.
Fine. I know that Spotify and DSPs do like compress as well when they ingest music. So that definitely does play into it. But I haven't AV'd it, but it wasn't enough for me to start collecting CDs again. You know what I mean? But I think it's sick. Yeah.
Also, being a producer, collaborating with other artists, and being in this world, do you think that the general audience who is not in the industry need to understand the dynamics of what's happening? I'll give you an example. So I decided to do a couple of focus groups last year. And I actually, again, did it this past week. So I've done 3 focus groups, group of 10 people, group of 8 people, group of 3 people. All of them generally listen to music on DSPs, on streaming. All of them cross-cultural, cross-age. And I said to them, if an artist has had 100 million streams, how much money do they think the artist has got in their back pocket? First group of people said 50 million. Second group of people said 1 million. This last group ranged from 300,000 to 20 million. And I said, actually, no, it's more like 1,000 or 2,000. And they were all shocked and horrified. I know Ray, I know Snoop Dogg, a whole bunch of artists are discussing this more. Do you feel that the general public should be of the understanding more of these various energy exchanges of what's happening? Or it's enough to know that Spotify is a business card for the artist to know, okay, I'm popping in Uganda, I'm popping in Russia, I'm popping in Japan, I can go into there.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'd say 2 things. I'll say like it's always good to be informed, especially on topics that you care about and you want to know more on. So like I think if people want to research it more and more about it, I think it's a great thing. But also from the artist side, it's kind of like it was the answer to, as you know, like illegal downloads. So it's one of those things where now it's unfortunate. It would be awesome if there was a lot more money coming through from DSPs, but it's more of the metrics to see just like you're saying, where something is popping off or how people listen to music. Is it from playlists or they're actively going to your profiles, so you can actually like gauge where your fan bases really are and active listeners. So it's more just like a monitoring metric system at the moment. Because yeah, definitely not making money from Spotify.
So I love this next game. I know if I had to answer this question in 2 minutes, in 20 minutes, and 2 hours, and tomorrow, I know your answer will be different every time. I'm not saying favorite. I'm saying top of mind. Because there are millions of them. It's not possible to say favorite. If once you finish this conversation, you'd like to listen to 5 other artists, who would those 5 artists be?
Top of mind, 1975. Love the 1975. Probably because I'm looking at the vinyl of theirs right now. My Bloody Valentine would be a good one to listen to as well. I love some good Role Model. I've loved his first album, but I really like the second one as well. He's doing some really cool things lyrically. I always go back to Coldplay. I know it's generic, but like they're so good, and they've got so much music out that like you can just pick the mood that you're kind of in and the different phase that they were into. And there's this really cool artist that I've been listening to lately. His name's Sam Austins, where he's also a bedroom producer, but he's just doing some fun indie music that's kind of taking inspiration from the late 2000s, like electronic, like Odessa and stuff like that. With sampling, I feel like sampling went away for a little bit, in terms of like vocals and stuff like that. But he's kind of doing it in a cool way.
What advice would you give to someone who is thinking of pursuing this journey?
On that note, it would be the same advice where it's like you got to find the right people, because obviously don't allow anyone to roadblock you, and don't wait for anyone to open doors for you. But if you have people in your corner, even if it's just the best friend that is willing to just like champion you the whole way, treat them well, treat them with respect, find ways that you can mutually work together to bring each other up and not just take because you're the artist. You know what I mean? Like find ways to have a synergy. If someone's excited, then how can you feel that excitement and also get them ways to find yourself too excited to help them in a way as well.
The podcast is listened to throughout the world. As a final message, what would you like to say?
Treat people with kindness. Generic, but it's a good message. I feel like always leave people better than you found them, and go stream only you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Celeb Savant. Please follow Barrett on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at Celeb Savant. That's CelebSavant.